All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. This is Noah.
And this is Jesse.
All right, Jesse. So, or for everyone who's joining us this evening, you see that we have a little bit of a different setup here, and this is our Thanksgiving edition here. We're going to first, I think, we're going to review the Macallan number 6 from the edition series here. We're not going to really do a traditional restaurant review like we have in the past few weeks because we were doing a charcuterie board here, and from there we're going to just talk about some things that we're thankful since this will be airing on Thanksgiving Day, and there's a whole lot of topics we can cover with that.
That's true.
And I guess from there we'll then reveal what next week's next week's
Smarter
Smart Challenge will be.
Yeah.
All right, so guess a little bit of should I cover a little bit of the history, or what do you want to do first?
Yeah, talk about Macallan. You had some great history notes. Phenomenal scotches, we know.
Is there anything you want to say first about Macallan, though?
Oh, it's funny because growing up, I remember the Macallan of my high school years, if you will, or grade school years. Yeah, when I was in grade school, not in high school. And Macallan got some, I had a bad opinion about Macallan. And part of that was because of some things that went on. They had changed ownership a couple of times within a short period.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to go into some great detail about that. And with that, though, there became some questions around how great it was. And I don't want to ruin your notes because I know you got some great ones and I'm excited for that. But as of late, as we've been tasting scotches for just under a year now, we've had some amazing Macallan scotches, the Macallan scotches, and I am greatly looking forward to the number 6 this evening.
So am I. I think it's going to be a great bottle. So a little bit here about the history, and then I'll talk a little bit about the edition series here. But as far as the history goes, it's the third largest selling single malt in the world. It's also the second largest by volume. So it's actually, they do sell quite a bit of it. They were actually founded in 1824. But before that, you kind of have to know what was going on in Scotland and England. Apparently, King George, I forget which King George or whatever. But in any case, he kept raising taxes and raising taxes and raising taxes. So during that time frame, a lot of whiskey makers went underground. So they were making a lot of illegal whiskeys, and because of that, they were poor. A lot of them were poor quality, and people got sick and things like that. So the Duke Gordon created the Excise Act, and basically it levied a set amount for every per gallon that they would have to pay. And a lot of the whiskey makers were against this because they didn't want to give in to the crown, and they figured they could fight it and they wouldn't have to go through this Excise Act to make whiskey. And so at that time, those who decided to get the license to create a legitimate distillery became unfavorable with the other whiskey makers. And so Alexander Reed, he's the one who founded the Macallan. And he did get a license, but he had to kind of keep it low key for a while. Excuse me. And so since the other distillery or the other whiskey makers were so upset against them or upset with them for getting a license, it was rumored that he had to carry around 2 pistols with him at all times to protect himself. And when he did get that license, he leased 8 acres of land, which included the Esther Elich house, which is the little house that's right here on the bottle or the label. And that eventually became the symbol for good, and is also eventually renovated and eventually made the international headquarters for the Macallan. After the distillery was set up, then Alexander Reed created the Alexander Reed and Company. and the Macallan became basically like its mainstay. But the whiskey that was made during that time was named Craig Ellachie. And this is the period, and that was because that was the name of the village that the distillery was in.
Craig Ellachie.
Nailed it. So in 1847, he died, and his son took over. And then his son took over, ended up taking on two partners, which was James Davison, and I think it's James Davison, if I got the names right. And then the other one is James Shearer Priest. Anyways, eventually the whole ownership went to Davidson. And then after Davidson's death, it was taken over by James Stewart, but he didn't become full owner of the distillery until 1886. So after he became the full owner of the distillery, that only lasted a few years because in 1892, Roderick Kemp became the new owner. And at that time, he renamed it to the R. Kemp Macallan Glenlivet to take advantage of Glenlivet's name, because Glenlivet at that point in time had already became world famous for their single malt Scotch. And then under Roderick Kemp's, I guess, reign or ownership of the Macallan, he had rebuilt the distillery. So he put in like new warehouses, improved the stills. He set new quality standards like maturing only in Spanish oaks. In 1909, he died, and then his family ran the distillery until the 1990s. During the 1990s, that's when they renovated the Macallan, that estate, that house, and made it the international headquarters. But also at that same time, they also wanted to increase the production. And in order for them to increase the production, they did not want to lose their traditional small still making of whiskey. So instead of going with like the large industrial type of stills, they just doubled the amount of small stills that they had on their property. And in 1994, this is where your knowledge comes, or what your bad taste or sour taste.
We were just born, we were so young then.
So in 1994, the Highland Distilleries became the new owners. And then in 96, they took on another partner, which is the Japanese Suntory group. And I'm not sure exactly if it was I think it was actually in 2003. So even though the Highland Distilleries took over, there were some questionable years in the 90s. And then 96 to 99, then that partnership with Highlands and Suntory came in. But then in 2000, it changed ownerships again. And this is the ownership that we're currently under now, or the Macallan is currently under now, which is the Edrington Group. And they've created the Macallan as we know it today. And really, they started off to gain this new reputation by releasing 15 and 30-year-old Scotch. However, even though they started creating this new image, they had that slight hiccup in like 2001, 2003, right around there, where they sold some Scotch from the actual their rare Scotch there on the
antique.
Their antiques, yeah. And 11 of the bottles were found to be fraudulent. And so at that point, they said they're not selling any more of the antiques because they weren't able to tell which ones were going to be the questionable kind or which ones were actually truly antique made of the Macallan. But in any case, they've rebuilt up the name recognition for the Macallan, and part of this in 2001, the Macallan 10-year was selected as the official Scotch of the Speaker of the House of Commons, which would be kind of like the Speaker of the House for us. So that'd be the drunk Nancy Pelosi for us.
That's right.
So that's a little bit about the history. But as far as the edition series, what I have here in notes. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to jump in?
Oh man, go forward.
I know I'm just rattling off.
Give us the notes of the six.
Okay. So this right here, the 6, this fine little blue bottle right here, um, that is the final bottle of the edition series, and all 5 casks that were used to age the whiskey in this was handpicked by the Macallan whiskey maker Stephen Brumner. He drew the inspiration from this unique whiskey here from the river and the surrounding landscapes there, and he used American and European oak here to bring out some rich brass colors and layers of aroma and flavor, is what he put here, and the River Spey does go through the Macallan Estates area, and they are very big in trying to save the Atlantic salmon. So they have kind of like I don't know, like a farm or something there to kind of help save the Alaskan salmon that kind of swim in that area right there of the River Spey. Anyways, this particular bottle here, if you look on the box here to the side, hopefully I don't knock anything over here. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but it kind of shows a picture of the river that goes down with some points there.
Looks like a lady's backside to me, but I'll take it.
But you'll take it.
I mean, let's really zoom in on those curves, all right?
Probably like a shoulder and neckline, maybe.
Oh, no, man.
I don't know. There's
you're
some hard
looking
curves
too
going
low.
on there. But
You gotta think the top of the box is the waist, not the neck, all right?
Okay.
See it now? Baby got back.
So his notes were that the color is antique brass, the aroma is fresh fruit with nutmeg, ginger, chocolate, toffee, vanilla, and oak. It sounds freaking amazing.
It does, truly.
The palate's supposed to have plum with sweet orange, cinnamon, nutmeg, oak, toffee, and oats, with a long fruit finish with spice to creamy chocolate and toasted oats. All right, so that's it. That's what I got here for the Macallan.
All right, well, look at this. Noah and I, our opinions differ on the box. I appreciate the color, and Noah's not the biggest fan.
Yeah, I just don't like that teal, light blue color. I think it kind of reminds me too much of that same kind of color that's used for the Singleton, which I didn't like the Singleton looking the way the bottle looks. So maybe it's like the whole, like, it just gives me bad flashbacks.
It's part of the package. All right, so we're going to open this up. One thing I think we both definitively agree upon, Macallan does a great job with their bottles, all right?
Oh yeah.
And
like that bottle is solid. Like, you know, like when you pick up some bottles, it feels like they're not very heavy, don't have any weight to them, or like this. You can tell this is a glass bottle.
this has got some heft here. And with that, we don't have to question or look too far as to why they have a holographic seal of authenticity here.
I wonder if it has to do with those fake antiques.
I don't know. There are also a lot of things just around the world, especially with high-end products. This includes olive oil from Italy. There's a lot of fake forgeries out there. There's a lot of fraud, counterfeits. If you go to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, they actually go into great depth about all the counterfeits and how people will use other names. Simple things from kids' Nike shoes to ladies' or men's Louis Vuitton bags. This is just one further way to attempt to avoid that counterfeit of the Macallan.
And I think it does have, just by looking at the color from the bottle, I think he's right. I think it does have that like antique brass looking. It's very dark comparative to like some of the other ones that we've had.
Yeah. Now, price point wise, you got to remember with Noah, money is not an object, at least not for Scotch Hour.
With Noah, with Jesse either.
So the price point on this had a pretty vast range, actually.
Yeah, but we went to Total Wine and Total Wine and More, and I think it was $159 was the price point. Which you think for for a limited release. Not many that were made and part of a series. I think that is actually kind of a decent price point. And I think it was it 48% by volume.
48.6. Don't forget that 0.6.
So 48.6.
Every inch matters, right, ladies? Like, I mean, every 0.1% of an inch matters, right?
I would say, like, from our other tastings and stuff like that we've learned, the color comes from the charred oak, right?
Yes.
And if you really look at this coloring here, it is a like nice like deep brass.
To forget the color, jump to the nose. just for 1 minute. Don't really skip the color. Yes. Deep brass. Absolutely, you are right. A couple interesting factoids about the Macallan edition series. The edition number 1 came out in 2015, and roughly every year since then they've come out with one to have the final come out. Actually, last year it was finished in 2020, so that's why it's roughly once a year that the AE6 came out. And each one had an intention, a purpose, was designed and crafted. And I think that's a good way to phrase it, crafted for a purpose. And as you go through the series, you have everything from color to nose. There's the edition where it was meant to be very botanical, and that's a big thing now. Yeah. A lot of others have followed. Recently, Glenmorangie came out with one, and the botanicals are a big deal as well. But they've had their whole series, and as Noah mentioned, this one really goes into that piece about respecting the river as well. One of the reasons they put the river on the side, and I think that's good. It's also very important for this current time, this period of time that we live in, where we have diminished a lot of resources, sustainable fish being one of them. So cheers, Macallan. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it is great. I think not only that, like they wanted to bring in that essence of the River Spey, but they're also like doing an homage to like their history in that area too. So I think that's kind of cool how they're just trying to tie it all in.
Yeah.
So what are some of the aromas that you know, let the people know what you smell?
Oh, I am absolutely getting a medium to light. It's not super light, but a medium to light citrus. And that is the first piece. And then I'm getting a little bit of those botanicals, not heavy, not something that stands out so much as, for me, one of my all-time favorites, great oak. And we know that Macallan has used a lot of different oaks through their different editions, and Spanish oak being one of them. I would say nutmeg and almost a hint of cinnamon. Can you imagine this thing with a pumpkin pie? I mean, it's, it's $170, $180 with tax. No big deal.
You do get a little bit of that. You do get some kind of fruit, and I think you're right on the citrus, but I'm not sure if there's like a little bit of maybe some kind of berry, or it's not just citrus I'm smelling. There's other kind of like dried fruit in there.
For me, it's a well-balanced, not overbearing orange.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, it's light.
Man, I don't know. The color, and as I interrupted you earlier, I apologize, but the color, to your point, as they mentioned, called it brassy, and I think that's true. Much darker than some of the fairer scotches that we've had in recent times.
Yeah, I think it has a beautiful bouquet or aroma to it, and I think it's very welcoming. I think you smell this one. You smell the Scotch, and it's not like Brian talked about like how sometimes he would drink Scotch, and like especially like the Lagavulin 16, I think it was, and like his kids or his wife would walk by saying like, dude, that smells like this. Does not have that kind of smell to it.
It is not He-Man's Band-Aid smell.
No, it's not the He-Man.
All right. Well, remember, always drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Something we'll get into further. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
That's good. The finish is super smooth.
It is.
It starts out with a little bit more heat than I honestly would have expected, but that explains the 48.6 alcohol by volume.
Which I think happens. I think we do this a lot. Like when we first open it up on camera, we get that, whoa, that's the, get that initial wave of like alcohol. But then also like after it like settles for a little bit, then like a lot more of that nuances start to come in.
Interesting piece of information as well through all of our information. It's the good and the bad. So one of the things we have found out, and it is true, as we have revisited some of our older scotches as well, but as you open a bottle of scotch, you literally start the clock. And it's like anything else. A child is born, if everyone lives to 100, you get that. Well, there are going to be different variables that can speed up or slow down that cork, or life clock, if you will. And you pop open a scotch, and once you've opened it, at max, you've got 5 years before it doesn't go bad to the point where it's going to make you ill. The alcohol in there is going to warn off any germs. However, the flavor will adjust. And this makes sense to any of you who think about it, as you see the bottle, as long as the bottle's half full or more, you can probably get 2 years out of it if you pop it open, a special celebration, birthday, graduation, anniversary. Maybe it's your kid's high school graduation, we'll say it that way. If you drink as much as we have drinking so far this evening, you might get 4 years out of it. 2 little tastings, save the rest for another 4 years, unless you got, like a Tommy boy or something. And then it's not going to last the 7 years for him to get through college. But you got a really smart kid, 3 years, good chance that scotch will still be good. So as long as the bottle is half full or more, you may get 2 years out of it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say you're a collector and you don't open it. How long can it last?
Now, here's the beauty of it. You don't necessarily have to be super temperature sensitive with it, but it can last decades. Here's where it gets tricky, and as a wine connoisseur, I know you know this as well, a great, you would almost call it a single, if you will, Cabernet Sauvignon. You bottle it, it can last decades as well in good temperatures and no light conditions. You start to adjust those temperatures, you take it out of an optimal range, you will shorten its life being bottled as well. How you get a 65-year Macallan or a 50-year Macallan isn't because they bottled it 50 years ago. It's because it's been sitting there. It was crafted 50 years ago, and then they bottle it afterwards. That is the way that they make that happen. So once that point stands, you got decades to enjoy that. You pop it open, clock started.
All right. So,
long story short, let me sum this up real quick. Once you get beyond the halfway mark, you are lucky if you have a year. And as some of the scotches we have compared, and we will continue to do this, you do notice a notable difference quickly, especially even as we just finished our Game of Thrones series.
Yeah. Well, think about that, which is really surprising because the Oban Night Watch Reserve Bay, that one is the very first one we popped open in the series. And I'm not sure, with how it drops. I'm surprised it held all the way through.
Well, we nursed it at the beginning, knowing it would probably make it a little bit of the way. But yeah, you are talking about 2 months. Which is still relatively short. I'm a cheap bastard, so I keep the house at 70 degrees, or if it's cold outside, maybe 65. But in the summer, let it get up to 80. Moderate temperature variance is nothing too dramatic, but
really, I think even with wine or beer, and also with spirits, I think the biggest killer is the sun. If it comes in contact with the sun, then it's gonna.
Yeah. But you open up that special bottle celebration. Once you get past, I would say I'm going to venture on the safe side of drinking enjoyment. Once you drink more than a third of that bottle, do not plan on it lasting more than a year. Drink to enjoy. We like to collect as well.
Yeah.
And we've got several bottles. What we have learned is some of those bottles we thought we were having a tasting of and going to save for a decade. It's not a wise, sound decision.
No, not anymore. Now it's time to drink.
Yep. So tomorrow morning will come very quickly. Thank goodness I'm off.
Not me, but yeah, I think I like this. It is good.
It is really good. And as we have noted on previous episodes, it does get more smooth as the episode goes on after it has been opened and breathed, if you will, for a good hour. The flavors are more balanced. This one was already well balanced right out of the bottle. I was going to say shoot, but we'll say right out of the bottle, right out of the barrel. And I'm enjoying it as well. This medium body, getting those hints of toffee.
I was going to say
enjoying it.
Like I get like the hint of toffee with like some like light orange peel. And then when it goes into the finish, I definitely like get that dried fruit and creamy chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Man, we may have to run to the store and go get some chocolate.
All right, anything else you want to say about this review on this
No, we can revisit it at the end, give a last opinion, but right now it is a win for the W.
It is
the Macallan edition number 6.
So would this be something you would take to Thanksgiving?
Oh, if I like you, this is coming to Thanksgiving. If you like Scotch, it might come to Thanksgiving. If you don't, I'm bringing it to Thanksgiving. I want to be the one drinking it. Yes, absolutely. This would be an amazing Christmas present, birthday present, especially if you have someone who enjoys a good whiskey, or as we like to say it, single malt Scotch. Our prime focus is always the single malt Scotches. And man, for me, as someone who's a collector, the hardest part is knowing that really every Scotch is a limited edition. Every year is different.
Right.
But that this is truly a limited edition. Once it's gone, it's gone. It would really be something I'd probably save for a few years and save for a very special occasion. Now, that being said, Thanksgiving is special every year.
It is special. And, you know, that's something about us being a collector. We're talking about this, like part of our podcast here is to taste and experience these whiskeys for you guys and kind of describe them to you. And then knowing like the collector side of us, we're like, well, dang, now we got to buy 2 of them.
Gets pretty expensive. Thank God, money's no object. It's Scotch hour, yeah.
So, in any case, another one here that I was thinking about. I know we're not really talking, like this is premiering on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
So for all of you who are watching this on the premiere date of
Thanksgiving,
happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Yes.
Hopefully you and your family are doing well and all that wonderful stuff. But what I wanted to say here, sorry, I wanted to get to my point before I forget it.
You're good, man.
Is, you know, another Scotch I think would be great during Thanksgiving is that Nectar Dior.
Oh, yes.
From
Glenmorangie.
Yeah, Glenmorangie.
I 100% agree. And we're just talking about the fact that it was in the Lost episode.
Yeah, so we never really reviewed it for you guys. I mean, we did, but we didn't.
Maybe it worked out because in that episode, we actually tasted and compared 4 scotches by Glenmorangie, and it gives us a chance to revisit them all.
Exactly. And I think it might actually be a good one for our next episode.
Yes, we'll get to that smarter challenge later.
All right. Yeah, I think we can move on to our next subject. I know usually we go into
restaurant review.
Well, usually you always say restaurant review. I'm always like, it's shout outs. But I think since this whole episode is about what we're thankful for, I think we'll just bypass shout outs, right? Unless there's like a really special shout out you
No,
can give.
let's skip the shout outs this week and just include them in what we're grateful for, because that is always part of the shout out.
Exactly. So we'll go into the restaurant review now. And so Jesse, you've, normally we would do a restaurant review, but we figured since it's Thanksgiving, it'd be something just to do something more relaxed. So you guys can kind of see it's just like, I guess, more chilled.
Yeah, what's it really like? Not at a dinner table when we're just sitting and chatting and enjoying a good dram of scotch.
Yep, I did it all for the
I
dram.
did it for the dram, and I literally did it for the dram.
Yes, so you put together this charcuterie board here.
Yes.
And what do we have on our charcuterie?
This is a very simple charcuterie board. We didn't want to overcomplicate it. The reason for that is, and it's going to be hard. I'm actually going to struggle to blend this scotch just yet with some of these meats and cheeses and fruits, etc. So it will be a challenge because I'm going to, but I really am enjoying every bit of the flavor of the Macallan Edition 6. Very common for charcuterie boards. You've got some salty meats, if you will. So we've got some salami and some prosciutto. We've got mozzarella wrapped in prosciutto. We've got multiple types of olives here. We've got stuffed blue cheese olives, some stuffed with feta, Kalamata olives, a range of cheeses from Parmesan and Parmesan Reggiano to a Fontina, and
What kind of Fontina, though? It's not just Fontina.
This is a smoky pepper Fontina.
Smoky pepper Fontina.
And
do you have one like with the pepper
oh yeah,
show the peeps.
We've got the pepper, like they put it on the outside. It is tasty. It really is. By the way, this is my half. That's your half. Intended intentionally, unless you want one of my crackers. But also, when you're doing a charcuterie board,
You called yourself a cracker?
that's right. Man. I am. It's winter, all right.
Right there, cracker.
So with that though, very common for charcuterie boards, and we wanted to create a huge one. Then we're like, hey, there's no way we're going to enjoy this just on the show. So we've got that over there. But for the show, we've got some grapes, some blackberries, the olives, the cheeses, the meats, and we're going to keep it fairly simple because, man, an hour goes by quick. And when you're eating a great charcuterie board, we can make this thing the size of a 4 foot by 8 foot dinner table or a small billiard table, if you will. And man, it just is never ending. It is a great way to go, but we've kept it simple for this evening.
That's awesome. I can't wait to try some of this, especially with this dram. And you are correct. An hour does go by quick, and I have no idea when we started, so I don't know when our hour is going to end.
Yeah, I thought about that right about 15 minutes ago, and I think we started 30 minutes ago, but I mean, run long.
Yeah,
run long.
Run long, run deep.
All right, so really last week's Smarter Challenge,
Yes.
kind of a multitude one really generated by Noah was, as this is the episode that airs for Thanksgiving.
Are you talking about what this week is?
Yes.
Okay.
Our current one is, what are we grateful for?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to start or if you want to jump in, you want to go one back and forth. There's lots of ways here.
I think, how about we do go back and forth?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and start?
So this is a hard one, man, because it's, man, I love starting. And
While you're starting, I'm going to try one of these things.
yeah, dig in. With this, I will tell you that the first thing I am grateful for is waking up every morning. I love life. I love waking up, and I love thinking about my kids. Aiden, I know you got basketball tryouts these next few days. I wish you all the luck in the world. I know you work hard, you play hard. I love to watch you play, and I hope you get exactly what you want and also what you deserve. So Mila, you are the hardest working young lady I know. At just 17 years old, all the work you put in. I know we all feel like our bosses don't always respect us 100% at times, and she said that. But I want you to know, like, your father right here, I absolutely respect you 100% of the time. I know how hard you work, and I appreciate every bit of that. When you clean up around the house, when you help around here, for all the things you do, for putting up with your brother and I. You're both amazing young adults, and you've grown up too quick. Aiden 15, Mila 17. Mila, you're driving now. Be careful. Never drink and drive. You ever need a ride, call me, and I mean that. But that's the first thing I'm grateful for, is waking up and knowing that I have these two greatest gifts on the planet for me, my kids.
That's a great one. I don't have kids, so I can't use that.
No duplicate!
I have no mini-me's. So,
Dude, my mini-me boy is almost maxi-me.
here is mini-me now.
That's right. This is so backwards.
Well, not really, because I think as you age, you're supposed to shrink.
Yeah, I haven't started shrinking yet. It's still growing. You're welcome. That's what she said.
So, I guess I'll start off with, and this is going to seem a little bit weird, but
That just got really weird.
I'm going to start off with I'm kind of grateful for the lockdowns.
Okay.
Not because of like what it did for everybody or how it caused like a strain on the economy or anything like that. The reason why I'm going to use the lockdown here is because if it wasn't for the COVID lockdown, I probably would not have moved back to Colorado. And because of like this whole lockdown thing, my mom kind of really pushed for me to come back to Colorado to be closer to family, since I didn't have any family in Utah. I had some really great friends. Don't get me wrong, but I had no family in Utah, so she really kind of pushed for me to come back. And so because of my mom pushing for me to come back and because of the lockdowns, it really got me to come back to Colorado, rebuild some relationships with my mom and with Brian and you. You and I have actually, like, we spent a lot of time together now. So I just want to say, like, I am grateful, not for the lockdown itself, but for the result that it caused for me to come here to Colorado and pretty much reestablish some great friendships, reestablish some relationships with family. And I think that's awesome. On the flip side, there's always a positive and negative, though. It is a little bit of a bummer, though. Some of the good friends I've made out in Utah, I don't get to talk to them as much or see them as much. But my longtime friends and everything I grew up with and stuff like that and family, it's been nice to have those relationships rekindled. So that would be my first grateful thing.
All right. Well, my second grateful thing is my friends and family besides my kiddos. I can only assume other parents feel the same way I do about their kiddos. And they literally are number one, and they never grow out. I don't plan on Mila and Aiden disappearing out of my life when they are 30. I hope to continue to be a part of their life forever. But beyond that, great friends and family. I've been lucky and blessed. First of all, mom and dad, thank you guys so much. You are the ones who taught me my work ethic and gave me a lot of foundation to build my own life upon. And I am super grateful for that, because I look around sometimes and what you gave me as a foundation, work hard, play hard, maybe play too hard sometimes I do, but work hard, play hard is absolutely important to me. And I got a big piece of that work hard from you guys, and I truly appreciate it. Friends, Noah, being a long-standing friend, and when he came back to Colorado, bringing this opportunity up, I'm super grateful for that. We've had our ups and downs for sure. And when we went in, we really, I think, this is one thing some people don't understand, is we planned on having just because of everything going on in the world right now, a year of training and development for ourselves. We haven't done this before on any facet. So it's what is the materials, what is the equipment, what are the financial obligations, and it can be astounding just to get started fairly well, how much it can cost. Not from a one-person podcast per se. You can do that on your phone and have it be okay. But when you're trying to prepare for a future of, hey, starting year 2, episode 53, we're traveling, we're going places, we're doing things, having to have the multiple cameras, the lighting, the backing, green screens, all of that, and so much more that we don't even want to get into. It's just a ton. But also with those friends, another one, Greg, if you're out there, I hope if you're going to watch one episode, this is the one to watch. I'm giving you a shout out. Greg, you cracked me up. Greg reached out to me the other day because of something that was posted, and he's like, hey man, I don't know what happened, I don't know where it went wrong, but I see you're beating up Noah pretty bad on the Facebook, and hey, give it another try, don't give up. And my response was, oh, that was Noah's post. So by the way, if you saw that where it said, this is Jesse after Noah interrupts him on Scotch Hour, that wasn't me. That was Noah. So he's the one who beats him up. I don't do that. Not publicly.
Yes. So part of this is as you're busy, this is a huge learning experience. Oh gosh. And as we got started, right, we started off with I started off with one microphone because at first I couldn't find anyone to do this with me. And so I finally invested a ton of money into a nice high-end laptop. And then I bought editing program, not the best editing program, but a good one. But it doesn't matter if I got the best one or a decent one because I didn't know how to use it anyway. So I had to learn. I'm still even learning on how to do certain things on it. And but then I have one microphone, and then I figured, it would be easy to get 2 USB microphones. And I found out that doesn't work. You have to get these, I think it's XLR type of microphones, and then all this stuff. I never
soundboards.
Soundboard. I had none of this training. And then on top of that, and we've learned this too, we have to be active on social media. And that is a total pain. I mean, it's fun. But you have to come up with create new content almost every day. And, I kind of like to keep it kind of fun. And I know I interrupt you a lot. And so I was making fun, recognizing hey, yes, I do interrupt you. And you're always pretty cool about it anyways. At least on the show you are. And so I was well, since I have access to the Scotch Hour Instagram, the Scotch Hour Twitter feed, and then there's also Facebook, but we don't actually have a Facebook page yet. We kind of do. We have one from our parent company, which is one that I established a long time ago. But I just thought I'd make some funny ones up, and I thought
it was hilarious.
I think for me personally, the funniest one I created, at least recently, was the whole pre-gaming before the podcast, and then the look on your face as you're editing, holy crap, what did we just say during that podcast?
Hey, it's all good. All in fun.
Yeah, it was. So,
just as I finished that piece up for the friends and the family piece, all of that, I'm not mentioning them all, hundreds of people I've met as acquaintances at work, grateful for what I have learned and the work that I have done with them. Thankful for my girlfriend and all the feedback I get there. Truly am. I'm thankful for all of that, and I don't want to jump into my next thing I'm grateful for, and if I say any more I will. So that's my number 2. How about you?
Okay, so I know first want to talk about the lockdown and what it led to. And then my second one is going to be basically the same as your second one, which is friends and family. So over the years, I've had like you a lot of great friends who I think there's kind of like the saying, like there's the family you're born with, and then the family that you create, and that's like the great friends you make over time. And you being one of them, Brian, who had been part of our podcast for a while until he got super busy with teaching, is another one.
Yeah.
And his mom, Kathy, as well. And it's the same with your parents, too. They've all treated me very great. I really can't say enough for Brian and Kathy, though, because when I moved to Utah and my mom wasn't living in Colorado anymore, I think she was living in New Mexico, or where I think that's where she was at. But Brian, I'd come back to Colorado sometimes. And Brian would I'd spend Christmas with Brian and Kathy, and even a couple times I was busy or something was going on, but Kathy, for like I think 2 of my Christmas presents, she paid for my trip to come back to Colorado. So she's like definitely like a second mom to me. So and Thanksgiving Day, when this is coming out, we do Thanksgiving at Brian's mom's house, at Kathy's house. So Kathy, I'm very grateful for you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me. And Brian, same with you, and Aaron and the boys. I'm grateful for all of you. Mom, I'm grateful for you as well. Like I said, when I came back to Colorado, I got to live with my mom and my stepdad, Dennis. Dennis, I'm grateful for you as well. And that really got me to like rekindle and make that the relationship stronger bond with my mom, and even with my younger brother too. So I'm grateful for all my great friends, and for all my great friends in Salt Lake, Sean, Christina, Tara, Anthony. There's so many of you. Thank you guys all for everything you've done for me out in Salt Lake. I love you guys, and I'll try to get better at staying in contact with all of you. It's kind of tough, and so yeah, I'll just leave it there because otherwise we'll talk forever. And so
yeah, my number 3 will be for all the creative people. And this covers a very broad spectrum. We've covered some of the topics on our shows. So this is art. This is literature. This is engineering and architecture. This is all of the people who have impacted my life through sharing. And this is hard for most people, not all, but the ones who are heartfelt, for sharing their feelings. So we've got, as we talked about, the Monets, the Picassos, and the Dalis, all of these amazing artists. We're talking about Shakespeare, and all of the amazing, Gaiam, all of the amazing authors who have shared their feelings. Ernest Hemingway, I think, was the master of that, by the way. And that
The Old Man in the Sea.
Ernest Hemingway did a lot. For Whom the Bell Tolls is probably my favorite big novel, but he did a lot, and his short stories are impeccable. Feels Like White Elephants, for example. Great authors. So these people who have impacted our lives through their art, for their expression. And one of the things even great artists face is rejection, and being not so afraid to be rejected, but still putting yourself out there because you believe. That's another one of those things my parents did for me, is give me enough faith that, hey, it's worth the risk. And you remember me in high school, man, I could barely get up and give a speech, and now you can't shut me up. So, but part of that was because of conversations and learnings in my early adulthood, late childhood from my parents, and sharing the importance of all of those things. So really, it's thank you for all of the artists, the creative people, and the art is, I've only mentioned a few of the forms for me. I've also got high-end fashion. That is art to me, and I love it. And I'll spend a ridiculous about $500 on a shirt, no big deal, right? The price isn't an object on Scotch Hour. So with these things, he's like,
No,
I'm just kidding.
That's an ancient.
But with that fashion, all of the different forms of art, thank you for the creative.
Well, there's a point where for a while there, I was really high into fashion too. Oh, by the way, this last sip, I got the great toasted oak.
Yeah, it's
They're
getting
not finished.
bitter. I was going to say try it after a blackberry.
Oh, I tried it after that fetish stuff. That was great.
Oh, I'll bet.
Thank you for the pour.
Do it for the dram.
Do it all for the dram. So my next one here is going to be for mentors.
That was my number 4. So I'll go to my number 5.
You can do your number 4.
I'll just say ditto and go to my number 5.
So I want to say I've been lucky enough to when I got into insurance, the person's office I worked in who was part of training me. He's $1 million earner in the company, so he was making $1 million a year, and he kind of showed me like how to dream like large. Because like when he first started off, his name was Mark Marchesani, and he started off and he was from New Jersey, and he was a tree cutter. He used to like trim trees for a living, and he got into the insurance industry, and started making over $1 million a year. And then from there, because I had been in his office for only about a year, and then the direct people I report to, which were Sean and Ada Pinto, they became like super best friends of mine. And for a while, I called them like mom and dad for a while, because like they were kind of like my direct mentors. And then they moved to Utah, so I followed them out to Utah right as the like housing bubble kind of like popped. And let me tell you, those were some like trying times. Like think about like this was me going out to Utah. I had $300 in my bank account. I had no job lined up. I was gonna do the insurance, but it takes a while to get your license moved over, because you have to cancel your license here, and it takes like up to like 30 to 60 days to get your license transferred. At least back then it did. And so like I basically had almost no money in my pocket, no job lined up, or no money or income kind of set to come in, and I had no place to live. So I just went out there on a whim and followed my
dice.
And things kind of, they worked out. I learned a lot. I had another really great mentor who was another $1 million earner named of Brandon Neal. Brandon and Lexi Neal, they're incredible people. This is when I lived down in St. George in Las Vegas, and they took me underneath their wing a little bit there, and you got to go out to like dinners and things like that with other like multi-million-dollar people. And so the one thing I learned about people who make like $1 million or more a year is like they're really no different than you and I. And they put, or any of you who are watching, they put their pants on the same, one leg at a time. They I think the biggest difference between them and like anybody else is just the way they think. It's a mindset. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have read the books I've listened to. I wouldn't have gone to some of the seminars I had to go to and stuff like that, and I've learned some of the things I learned. And I think because of that, that's the reason why we came up with the podcast, because we have like a vision, and and belief in ourselves. Like you had your sound, your work ethic, sound belief, and everything that you had. Plus, you had mentors from where you work and stuff like that, and other mentors in life who you've told me about, as well as my mentors. And I think that's what gave us the confidence to jump into doing a podcast here. So I just want to give say I'm grateful for all the mentors in my life and those who've helped me along the way.
All right, this next one, you could almost consider it a form of art, if you will, but it's for all the super achievers, and this can be intellectually or physically. And I'm going to give one particular shout out. And I think Tom Brady is great. I know people love to hate him, and that's fine. Guess what? He's done it more than anyone else in history. And, I don't like some of the things that have come out lately, but LeBron James has done it well. Michael Jordan, some of these greats. But for me, getting to experience at his prime, Michael Schumacher, Formula One driver, won 2 championships before coming to Ferrari, started at Ferrari in 1996 after winning 2 championships. So you got to figure this is a guy who had it made. He was in a team doing great things. Benetton was the team, and he didn't have any reason except for the drive to be the best, and that entails a lot. Some of it is money. Switches over to Ferrari, who at the time had not won a Formula One World Championship for 15 years, and drove with Ferrari for years until finally taking the Formula One World Championship. And I got to see that. I wasn't at the racetrack, but I watched it live on TV. And it changed my life. And then seeing him after he had done that, not give up and do it again in 2001 and 2002 and 2003 and 2004. Just this amazing athlete, undying drive. And if you read his books or you speak to the people who knew him best, he wasn't super confident. He didn't think every day he was just going to go out there. At the beginning of every season, he would buy his own tickets to go to Maranello to get warm-up laps in an old race car, because there are so many rules in Formula One. You can't test the new car except on specific days. So just to get back into the car and just to get a feel, because you know what? We all have insecurities, and he hid his pretty well from the public eye because he was the greatest driver, and in my mind still is the greatest driver of all time. And with that, it's that same thing. It's that vulnerability. You're willing to get back out there and do it again. Now, I'll tell you who played it smart was Nico Rosberg, driving opposite Lewis Hamilton. Surprise of the season for the year. He won his Formula One World Championship several years ago now, but he won his championship and then basically retired. He's like, I'm out. I'm finishing on top. And I actually respect that too, but not as much as I respect the guys who are like, hey, I'm going to give it 100% and try again. But at the same time, I don't fault his game. Like, he was smart. So again, to all of the driven people who give us reason, the idols, again, they're all dreamers as well, artists in their own way, to the dreamers and the doers, the people with the drive who never give up, even though it puts tremendous strain on them physically, mentally, and can ruin them. They still take that risk. And so I appreciate all that you have done to motivate myself and the masses in the population. That's what I will absolutely say about LeBron James. He's had an impact on so many young basketball players and given them their own hope, their own dreams, faith that there's a chance. Tom Brady, absolutely. Again, people love to hate the guy, has done the same thing. And I love it because, now that I'm like 30, I'm a little bit older, and Tom Brady's the old guy still doing it, so it gives me hope.
He's the GOAT.
He is truly the GOAT. So, that's my finale with that one is,
That was your finale?
Yeah. Well, no, just with that piece,
Okay.
It's just to all those people who are superstars in their own right and to the world.
That's a good one. I just lost which one I was gonna do. I had it and I lost it.
Well, here, this will help jar your memory. Michael Schumacher, in his autobiography, There is a point where he talks about when he was off season, one of his favorite things to do was to care for his wife's horse because he knew how much she took care of their children while he was out racing and doing all those things. The guy was absolutely a heartfelt person that I strive to be half as decent as, half as good as.
Oh, yeah, I know what it is. That's a good one, though, by the way. Sorry.
They're all good.
No, what I was going to say is for the next thing I'm grateful for, and I don't want to take it too much for granted, is the founding fathers and our founding documents. Because without them creating this nation and being able to create, at least up until this point, some sort of like resemblance of where the people would rule rather than being ruled by an elite few, like a king or something like that. We have the Constitution that gives us, our rights and everything like that, the Bill of Rights, and kind of like if you really look at it, you got to think like these guys. They were able to see so far into the future just by studying the past and the Roman Roman Empire and how that all worked, or the Roman Republic, I should say, that they designed really a whole government on minimal amount of, like, they set up our government, and it's really basically like what, four large sheets of paper.
Yeah, and then they had a tea party.
Yeah. Where now, like you look at like what our Congress does now, or whatever, they like write like what, like 20,000 page like pieces of law, and yet our founding fathers were able to write a document in common English, or for the common person to be able to read and understand, and create a government that was just for the people, by the people. I think this is where the whole entrepreneurial spirit comes into play, good work ethic, helping out other people. Those sound like traits of Americana, to be bold, to take the risk, and seek your fortune. I think that kind of is instilled into us, and I think that's it's a great thing, and it's a thing that needs to be passed on to future generations. So I'm really grateful for what they were able to create and to fight for.
Well, I'll give one more. I know we gotta end this at some point.
Yeah, since we're not really like knowing what time we started.
Oh, we're there.
We're there.
But my final one is the foundation, the gift of faith. The fact that I do have faith, that I will work hard and be rewarded, that it's not for without. I think this is something, to your point. You mentioned that the rich, the millionaires, the billionaires, because the millionaires isn't the same as it was 10 years ago, aren't any different than you and I. And I think you're right in so many ways, but I think one area
I did say something that you think
is that they are not going to give away their money, but they are very giving with their time. And that's, they're very smart with their time. They do a better job with their assets. They invest not just in a savings account because inflation will kill that, not just in one piece of possibilities or another, but they invest in multiple. And one of those ways is the fact that they do mentor. And mentors give hope, and hope builds faith. And so for all of the different reasons I have faith, from the beginning of, hey, if I go to bed tonight, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and get another chance to see how my kids are and see how my family is, and possibly communicate with my friends and give another 10, 12 14 hours worth of work. Thank you. And I do, and I'm not shy to work hard. I have most of my life, and then I enjoy the other side as well. Faith that if I work hard, I get to play hard, and we've definitely played hard some nights, but
Maybe too hard.
there's no such thing. That's what she said. But with that, I'm grateful for my faith, and without going into a bunch of different reasons for that, it's multi-encompassing. It is friends and family. It's my parents. It's my kids. It's to help people who, much like your mentors, have helped me dream and not give up.
That's a pretty good one to end on. So if you are still watching this and it's on Thanksgiving or maybe the day after, I want the last thing one I want to thank is I want to thank all of you who support us. We really couldn't do this. I would say without you guys. We went out on a limb. We started this, but we do it for you guys just as much as we do it for ourselves. Hopefully you enjoy what we do. Please leave in the comment area like what you're thankful for. We want to hear what some of the things that you guys are thankful for out there, and hopefully you and your family are doing well through this time, and we just want to say thank you, and I just want to say how much I'm thankful for all of you, and for my family that watches this show. I want to say I'm thankful for you, and for all the friends that watch it. Thank you as well as all the patrons in it, and the fans. I guess next. Should I just jump in next week's Smarter Challenge, or do you wanted to jump on that?
Oh, no, man. Jump in, man. This is your thing.
All right. So next week, we are going to have a special guest. And I guess we'll just announce special guest next week.
Yeah.
But we've already issued her the Smarter Challenge
invite.
Yeah, we gave her the official invite. She has the Smarter Challenge already. So the next week's Smarter Challenge it's pretty vast. It's a Reddit thread that I found, and it has to do with like conspiracy theory-ish type of stuff. But it really revolves around cold fusion, and that it was truly discovered and it was hidden by the government. And so we're going to talk. The whole objective to this is we're going to read the thread, do some of the research that the guy had put up in there, and then discuss cold fusion. I guess does that pretty much does that kind of sum it up there?
That's a pretty simple explanation. Yes.
Would you explain it somewhat different?
The only thing else I'll throw in there is the fact that cold fusion is nothing new. That there is potential evidence that it's been around for tens of thousands of years. So, on this planet.
All right, and anything you want to say to the people before we go?
Oh man, I just want to revisit Noah. Thank you for the Macallan edition number 6.
Thank the boss man.
It's been fantastic since, or with, the salty meats.
Oh, it's been great.
The olives are probably my favorite, and part of that is the cheese and the olives. And the Kalamata. Interestingly enough, after the grapes, these are not the ripest. It's not the best time of year for a grape, but it really helps because I would almost call the grape bland. And because of that, the Scotch add, the dram, the sip, after that really helps it pop and opens up some of the different flavors. It's been fantastic. Amazing color. The color is not faulted, possibly part of the reason they chose the blue color they did.
You know, I would say now that I'm looking at that blue with the bottle, it's growing on me.
Dude, I love that blue. I want that color polo. So Hugo Boss makes one.
I also like the silver that goes with it.
Yes, absolutely. They did a great job. I love the nose. definitely get the citrus on the nose. That's what pops to me in the middle. It's more of that toffee.
Chocolate and toasted oats. That's what I get.
It finishes well with the hints of orange and chocolate to me, like one of those orange chocolate balls you get around Christmas time. So a great Scotch. You got any final notes on the Scotch?
Final notes on the Scotch. I love the color. I love this antique brass color that they say.
And they're right.
I get like nutmeg, dried fruits, some citrus on the aroma or the bouquet. When I go to sip it, I get toffee on that mid palate, and my finish. When I get the finish, as I stated before, I get some like the creamy chocolate. I get some toasted oats. It is a very good bottle.
It is.
And if you want a good dram, I definitely recommend this. It's an excellent dram, and it's not over oaked. It's not overly peaty. It has I don't taste any peat really.
No, I was just saying, is there such a thing as overly peaty? And then I was like, wait, smokehead.
But if you're like someone who does like a lot of peat or a lot of smoke, this may not be the bottle for you, but it might be a good change up. And it's definitely worth every penny of it.
Absolutely.
Anything for the people before to sign off with?
Please remember to drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Thank you for watching. Please leave feedback for us. Give us notes. Tell us what you think, what you like, what you don't like. Love the new setup. Hate the new setup. Either side, pick a side. Let us know. We will use that feedback. Time has been great. We do appreciate all the feedback we've received in the past. It's been amazing.
Yes,
Thank you, Noah. And I know you'll wrap up well. Life is great.
Life is great. All right. So thank you once again for everyone who does watch us or listen to us. If you're listening to us on the Podbean, Spotify, Audible Podcasts, or Amazon Music Unlimited. For those of you who watch us on YouTube or Rumble, thank you again for watching us. We appreciate it. Let us know if you've tried any of the edition series, or if you tried the number 6 edition here. Let us know what your thoughts are on this particular bottle here. Please share what you're thankful for in the comments area. We want to know things that you guys are thankful for this Thanksgiving season, and we are very thankful for you as our viewers and our patrons that are watching us. Special shout out to those patrons who do support us. I believe our Matrix, we have to start looking now into the Matrix theater rental, because that is coming up here shortly.
Next month. Tempest Fugit.
Yeah. Tempest Fugit. Time flies. And I think with that, I already mentioned everything that we're on. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family.
Exactly.
Or friends. And both.
All right. Cheers.
Same.
Scotch time.
Same Scotch channel. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.